Hello, teachers. This is our new curriculum called the Gospel Project, and it is a curriculum that focuses on Jesus for every single passage that we will learn. And I will focus and use the Younger Kids Leaders Guide. And depending on your age group, it'll differ a little bit. This is for grades 1 through 3. But the main idea will always stay the same. The wording will be a little different, the activities will be all different, but the lesson will be the same. And so for this semester, the spring semester, we'll have units 1, 2, and 3 completed by the end of it. And for unit 1, we have 5 sessions. And January 12th, the upcoming Sunday, will be session 1, God Created the World, Genesis 1 and 2. And one new thing that we'll be doing this semester is that once a month, we're going to have a review session. So after session 3, we're going to have a review session for sessions 1 through 3, and we'll tell you more about how to prepare for that. But yeah, each session is a week's worth of classes. And for all lesson plans, there will be these 4 categories: welcome, pretty self-explanatory icebreakers and activities. Learn is the main Bible story time. Love and live are response times with discussions and activities. And so each of the beginning pages will be like this. We'll have the title page, but on the bottom, we'll have all the critical information. So the key passage is Psalm 104:24. And if you don't know what version to use, our church uses the CSB version, Christian Standard Bible. And it says, "How countless are your works, Lord! In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures." And so obviously, our first lesson is about creation. And the big picture question will be related to it. The big picture question is like the catechism that we did last year. And it has a question and an answer. And it teaches the children the key doctrines and facts, truths about the Bible through a question answer. And this week it's Who is God? And they should be able to answer God is our creator and king of everything. And as I said earlier, the Gospel Project always connects each passage to Christ. And for the kids' curriculum, it cites Hebrews 11:3, Colossians 1:16 through 17, saying that Jesus is the Word of God, that all creation was created for and by Him. And the story point is a one-sentence summary of the whole session for the week. And it's God created everything for His glory. But this also differs based on the age group. It doesn't really change much between the kids, the elementary kids, but for the preschool, I'll show you the older preschool curriculum. It's much simpler. Even the big question, it's simpler. The story point is simpler. The Christ connection is much simpler. But they all talk about the same thing. Okay. So this is the most important page for you. And afterwards is the prepare page for you. It's the leader's Bible study. They want you to be in the Word as you prepare and be familiar with it. And as you know, your Lighthouse, if you go to Lighthouse for the week, you will be able to go through this lesson ahead of time. The adult version, so it'll be a little different, but you'll already have been able to review this lesson with your Lighthouse. So you should be pretty familiar with it. But at the end of this page, there's a prayer prompt for the kids and for yourself. And you could also pray for their individual prayer requests and take time to reach out to families that have been absent for the previous week. And one more helpful part for preparation is that the Gospel Project team has prepared a podcast series, one podcast for each session. And so it's for all age groups, and it's pretty short. It's all under 10 minutes, except for the first one that introduces the new start of the curriculum. But it's really short, and it should be very helpful for you to remind yourself of what the key points are, what to keep in mind as you teach your lessons. So I'll link this to you on our Google chat, and it's something that you could use every week as you prepare. So this is just a checklist for you to keep organized. And I'll just look at this page to show you how to use the link that I showed you. And so in the activity page, it says, invite kids to complete creation activity page, but it's not in the lesson plan. It's not in the leader's guide. It's in the link that I showed you. So if you click on the link that I put on the our Google chat, you should get something like this. Gospel Project Kids if you're teaching the elementary age, and Gospel Project Preschool for younger. You should just have one of these. I clicked on multiple, so I have both. Click on the title after you create the account for yourself, and it should have all the documents necessary. And yeah, I found a couple that are not included in this link, which I'll tell you soon. But for the kids activity pages, you find it here. Click on it. It has a complete creation page. You could print this out, and there's a coloring page as well. And this has all the summary at the right side. This should be good for them as well. And there are other very helpful images that if you want to use, like the story point, God created everything for His glory. There's one for the question and answer, big picture question and answer. Who is God? God is our creator and the king of everything. So there's some other things here that should be helpful for you if you want to use them. There's one for the Bible verse as well. Okay, so you print that out, and I really like this curriculum because everything that you have to say is already written in a conversational form. So it's what you could just read this word for word. You don't have to regurgitate a block of words that you read ahead of time. Even for the learn section, all of these are in conversation form. So it should be easy for you to just teach it by reading it. But for the activities, it's usually in these boxes colored in, and they usually have one that's low prep, which means you don't have to prep many crafts or materials ahead of time. So if you don't think you will have enough materials to do a certain icebreaker or activity, there's always a low prep option for you. But always feel free to do both if you would like. And so learn is the bulk of the lesson. You will touch upon the big picture question and the gospel and the passage itself. You could either tell the Bible story or show the Bible story video. And there's some discussion and questions. Certain tips for this specific session. The missions moment says show a video. I don't know if you have access to it. I do have an access to it, so I'll link it, but you don't have to show the video for this. The video doesn't have any narration or text. It's just video of Brazilians doing their cultural things, but you could just tell them about the missionaries named Eric and Romana Reese. Tell them what a missionary is and pray over them. So I think this could be still a fruitful time without the video. And this requires a video too, and so I'll link it, but I'll just do this in the large group if I find it necessary. So you could skip the question from kids section as well. I could just show the video after praise time if I feel like it's necessary. Another part, the gospel discussion. it says to use the gospel plan poster. And this is only for kids. I don't think there is a gospel discussion section for the preschool age, but I wasn't able to find this plan poster in the link, but I was able to find it online. And it looks like this. For preschool, it's much simpler, but you could follow this poster to share the gospel with them. And I could link this as well. So even if the curriculum does not have a specific time, it'll always be good to have a gospel presentation, gospel discussion, so that the kids can be familiarized with the gospel. One last thing that I wanted to know for this session, when it says review the timeline, we actually don't have the giant timeline. It's something you buy separately. It's a huge diagram you put on a wall, and it shows all the units and the sessions in order so that the kids can visually see where they are in the Bible story. But I read this through, and if you change some wordings, you could still say it, and it'll be really helpful. Instead of saying timeline, you could say the Bible. The Bible helps us understand how all the stories fit together to tell one big story. Or Christ or whatnot. You could change the words and it could still work. And so most of them are in conversational tone, pray out, and then there is the love and the live review activities. So that's it for session 1. And ideally, because we're always shooting for the ideal, right? Even though they might not always hit it. By the end of the lesson, they should be able to recite the key passage, and they should be able to answer, who is God? God is our creator and the king of everything. They should know just how Jesus connects to our passage, the creation story. They should be able to summarize the story in one sentence. So it all goes back to this. This really is all the things that will help them grow in their knowledge. And so, this page is really critical. And so for the large group, the Ask Kids worship time, when we all gather together first, I'll also teach on the same passage so that they could get some repetition and be familiarized with the whole passage. And I'll also share the big picture question as well so that the kids can be reviewed before they go into your class. And as always, if you have any questions or other concerns or things that you see in your curriculum but you can't find it anywhere, please reach out and we could discuss it, and it'll probably help the rest of us as well. And so at this time, I'll pray for you and then we can end the video. Father, thank you so much for our Acts Kids ministry and how you use it to build up the next generation. I pray that you build us up so that we are a fruitful ministry, not making people just be Sunday Christians or just grow in their knowledge, but children who will grow up to be your disciples and followers, living out what they hear and willing to go out and be missional and be the salt and light in this world. Thank you for these teachers. I pray that you continue to bless them with wisdom, compassion, and spiritual gifts so that they may equip the next generation. Pray that as they prepare for this week, that you help them, encourage them, and be with them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.